Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video and watching my tutorial. I truly appreciate it. And as you can see, we're making some pie today. We are making pie hot pads. So I have raspberry, I have grape, which looks really blue. I have cherry and or apple, whichever one, lemon, and blueberry. So these are super easy to make. I was walking through an antique store and I seen hanging on the wall a pie hot pad, and I looked at it and I thought I can make that, and I went home and made it and then made a tutorial. So one of my antique adventures turns into a tutorial for you guys. So before we get started, there are two things that I want to talk about. One of them is I am still sick. I still feel awful. My face feels like it's all swollen and just I'm stuffed up everywhere. Having said that, when we start the tutorial, I honestly feel like I went too fast, one, and two, I feel like I didn't explain enough. So if you guys need any help whatsoever, email me. My email address is in the description box. Shoot me an email and I will be more than happy to help you guys, okay? And then the second thing I want to talk about is, of course, the controversy with hot pads, acrylic or cotton, or does it matter? And I will say with this pattern, it does not matter. These are super duper thick hot pads. Now, granted, these are not to pull pots out of the oven. These are pans out of the oven or off the stove, whatever. These are not to pull them off or out. These are to set on. They're trivets, right? Trivets? That word. These are to set your hot pan and or pots on. So you just set it on top. You do not use these to pull something out of the oven, okay? I don't think they're wide enough, and they're too thick, so therefore I think it would you probably may not get a good grip, and then it could fall right out of your hand, and nobody wants that to happen, okay? These are not to pull things out of the oven. These are to set your hot pots and pans on your nice counter or table. Anyway, so these 4, 5, I can count. These 5 are made with acrylic, and you can tell one of them is used. And that is this one. And you can see the difference in the lattice of the pie. That's the only part that, well, and the little ruffles along the side. That's the only part that gets any effect from the heat. The rest of it, like the pie filling part, nothing happened to that. The lattice and the frilly on the outside is what took the heat of my hot pan. So acrylic, I don't mind. It's not going to bother me at all that these don't look brand new every time I use them. Now the cotton, I used what I had, and I did not have a cotton. Now this acrylic is Buff, Red Heart Super Saver Buff. And then the pie filling, all of them, but this one is Red Heart. This one is Michael's yarn. I cannot remember the name of it, and I don't have it next to me. But it's a oh, it was just there. It's Michael's popular yarn, but the color is raspberry. The rest of this is Red Heart Super Saver red, purple, blue, and then soft yellow. But the cotton I made, like I said, I did not have this color, and I used a dark brown. This is what we make in the tutorial. I don't like this dark of brown. Let me get all these out of the way so you can get a good idea. I'm not fond of the dark brown. I think it's too dark. And I could not find a color close to the Buff, the Red Heart Super Saver Buff. I couldn't find that color, so I just went with what I had, and then just use the red on the inside. But if you want to use cotton for your hot pads, which they're perfectly fine to use, if you guys could find a cotton that's more this this buff color. Will somebody put in the description box, because I'd love to have this shade of brown for a Hotpad set, just so I can make some out of cotton and some out of acrylic, because I just, to me, this is too dark. This is a burnt pie. Okay, so having said that, get you either your cotton or acrylic. For the cotton on this one, I used Village Yarn Craft Cotton. This is one skein, 100% cotton, 115 yards, and I still got a little bit left. So you're gonna need, I'm gonna say at least 115 yards for your crust color, and then less than that for your pie filling. So for this one is the same yarn in the color really red. I'd say I have probably half a skein left. So I would say 115 yards of both colors. Cotton or acrylic, doesn't matter which. Alright? And then, set this to the side. You are going to need a pair of scissors, yarn needle. Okay, where is my other... You don't need a stitch marker, but you're going to need a 5mm and a 6mm. And I cannot find my 6mm. Where did I set it? Found it. So you're going to need 2 hooks. We use the 6mm for the pie filling, okay? And then the 5mm for the lattice and the pie. The reason being is because with a 5mm on this pie filling, it's too, the diameter of the pie filling is too short for the actual pie crust. You know what I mean, like to fill in the inside of the pie crust. So if we jump up to a size 6mm, it extends the size of those, I'm gonna call them little berries, the puff stitches. It extends it to where it fits. And if we did the 5mm and added another row, it'd be too big. So instead of being too big or being too small, I decided we'll just use a bigger hook, and it extends it just enough to where it fits perfect. Okay? So get you both of those hooks, hooks, scissors, yarn needle, and then this is totally optional. I want to do this, but I got me a little bit of fabric tack, and what I did was every cross on the pie lattice, I put a dot of the fabric tack. Now, I didn't put it on the pie filling to keep the lattice on the filling. I really wasn't concerned about that, but I wanted to keep the lattice on the straight lines, nice, symmetrical pie lattice. So I just put, a drop at all those crosshairs, but totally not necessary. I just did it because it bugged me if it if it didn't look right. All right, so get your supplies together. Trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything for you guys. If I do forget anything, I'll link it in the description box. But that's it. So get your guys' supplies together, and like I said one more time, I know this is a long intro, but I want to apologize. Like I said in my chatting with Alana on Thursday, we have been so sick in this house. It's been heck. Anyhow, all right, enough yakking. Get your stuff together and let's get started. Alrighty, to get started, we're going to get a slip knot on our hook. Make sure you have enough tail so you can weave that in. Let's get my slip knot on my hook, and we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come back down to that first chain, and we're going to slip stitch into there to form a ring. Just like that. I'm going to pull that tail to tighten down that first chain and chain 1. Now I'm going to work around my, I'm going to work into my ring and over my tail, all for this round 1, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to work 4 puff stitches into our ring. And our puff stitch consists of 4 half double crochets, basically. So we're going to yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. There's one. We need 4 of them. So 1, go in, pull up a loop. 2, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. 3, and 1 more, still working over my tail. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. That's 4, and you should have 9 loops on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yarn over and pull through all 9. And chain 1. Alright, so that was 1 puff. We need 4 puffs. So start the next one, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. 1, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. 2, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. 3, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. 4, yarn over and pull through all 9 loops. Chain 1. So I'm going to turn this just a little bit. I'm going to start again, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. 1, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. 2, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. 3, yarn over, go in, pull up a loop. 4, 9 loops, yarn over, go through all 9, chain 1, and 1 more into the ring, yarn over, go in, pull up. 1, 2, 3, 1 more, yarn over, go in, pull up loop. 4, 9 loops, yarn over, pull through all 9, and chain 1. And now give your tail a tug. Close up that tail a little bit. I'm going to bring my end together, and you can see this first long loop right there, or the long top of the stitch right there. We're going to slip stitch into that, right in there. Then we're going to slip stitch into the next one, right in there. And now we're going to slip stitch into the next, which is the space between our first 2 puffs. So if you pull that apart, right in there, that's where we're going to slip stitch into. Just like that. So now I'm going to chain 1 and pull up a loop. And now I'm just going to kind of give everything a little bit of a tug around here, because this round 1 kind of wants to bunch up a little bit. And that's alright, it'll come out of it once we work more of the pattern. So that's what row 1 is going to look like. And for row 2, we're going to work into each space between the puffs. Okay? Alright, so for round 2, we are already in between our first 2. And we're going to work 2 puffs into each space between our puffs, okay? So into the space we're in, we're going to work 2 puffs. And I'm going to go a little bit faster this time. So yarn over, go in, 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, pull through all 9, chain 1, go back in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, go through all, chain 1, and now I'm going to come and grab the next 2 puff and find the space between them. I'm going to go right in there with 2 puffs. See it? So yarn over, go in, pull up, 1, 2, 3, 4, pull through all, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, pull through all of them, chain 1. Now I'm going to find the next space. right in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull through all, and of course I have a knot. Look at that. That's quite aggravating. Chain 1. I'm just going to work through it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through all of them. Chain 1. Now into this space, if I can get in there. Right there. We're going to work 2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull through all those. Chain 1, go back in there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over, pull through all 9, and chain 1. Alright, so that is the end of round 2. Sorry. Alright, so if you look, let me get my needle. We are going to slip stitch right into there. Just come right over and slip stitch into there. Okay, now we are going to slip stitch into the top of the next, right here. Slip stitch into that. And now slip stitch into the space between the next 2 puffs. And that gets us to where we need to be to start round 3. So round 3, we're going to repeat round 2. We're going to do the exact same thing. 2 puff into each of the chain 1 between the puffs. Here, 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 here. That's where that knot is. There, there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and work my round 3 off camera, doing the exact same thing we just did for round 2. So for round 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 puffs. So when I come back for round 3, I'll let you guys know how many you're supposed to have. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. It's what we should have, I believe. Alright, so I'm going to get my 15 done, and I'll come back when I'm ready to start the last puff. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm coming around, and I have one more space that I would need to work my 2 puffs into. So into this last space with 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull through all 9, chain 1, and my last one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pull through all 9, chain 1. That was weird. A black piece came out. Alright, so now we are going to slip stitch to the top of the first. So if you look, right here is the slip stitch, chain 1, top of the first stitch, chain 1. I just had a notification come across my phone. And we're going to go into the gap. So slip stitch to the top of the first puff, slip stitch into the actual chain 1, and then we're going to go into the space. Just like that. Chain 1, and for round 4, we're going to work the 2 puff stitches, just like we did, into this space that we slip stitch into. So 1, 2, 3, 4, pull through all 9, chain 1, Go right back in there and work another 1, 2, 3, 4, pull through all 9, chain 1, and now into the next space we're going to work just 1 puff. 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, pull through all 9, chain 1. Now into the next space we're going to work the 2 puffs, and then into the next 1. So basically what we're doing is working increase 1, increase 1, increase being the 2 puffs into 1 space. Alright, so we've got our, I'm going to call this an increase. We got our increase 1, so into this next space, increase, into the next space 1, increase 1, increase 1, and work that all the way around, and I will meet you when we get back to where we started. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've made it back to the beginning right here, and I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and right into there we're going to work 24. One, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through all 9, chain 1. Alright, so we're going to slip stitch to the top of the first puff. Yeah, that wasn't right. Get in there. Alright, now we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 right there. And now we're going to slip stitch into the space between the puffs. Right in there. Okay, so that was round 1, 2, 3, 4. Round 5, we are going to start just like we have every other round. Chain 1, and into this space we're going to go right back in there with 2 puffs. 1, 2, 3, 4, pull through on 9, chain 1, go back in there with 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, go through all 9, chain 1. Alright, now we're going to work 1 puff into the next space, and then 1 puff into the next space. One there, and now 1 here. Chain 1. Alright, now into the next we're going to work our increase. So 2 puffs into the next space. Over, pull through all 9, and chain 1. So we have increase, 1 puff, 1 puff, increase, and then we're going to work 1 puff, 1 puff, increase, 1 puff, 1 puff, increase, 1 puff, 1 puff. So basically we're working 1 puff between the increases, whereas the last round we worked 1 puff between the increases. Now we have 2 puffs between the increases. Okay? So into the next space, 1 puff. Into the next space, 1 puff. Increase into the next space. 1 puff, 1 puff, increase. 1, 1, increase. Alright? So go ahead and work that all the way around, and I will meet you when we get to our last space, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, I've made it back to around, and I've just worked my increase, and I did one, and now I got one space left, so I'll have my 2 lone puff stitches, and then we'll be back at the beginning. So that will be 32 puffs. So increase 1 into the last 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, pull through all 9, chain 1, and slip stitch right into the top of the very first puff, right there. Okay, so now we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1, which is the very next stitch right there. And now we're going to slip stitch into the space between the next 2. And we are going to work the last round. And the last round we're going to repeat what we just did. We're going to chain 1 and puff increase into the first space. So that's 2 puffs. One, so there's our increase, and now we just work 1 puff into the next 2 spaces. Pull through all 9 loops, chain 1 to the next space, 2, 3, 4, pull through all 9, chain 1, and then into the next space we work the increase, and then 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase. All right, so just repeat round 5 for round 6, okay, all around, and I will meet you when we get back to the beginning. All right, now I have made it around, and I just worked an increase, and into my last space I'm just going to work 1 puff. Yarn over, pull through all 9, chain 1, and slip stitch to the top of our first puff, right in there. Chain 1 and pull up a loop and cut. All right, now you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. All right? So go ahead and weave in these ends. I'm just going to run it through some stitches here. And this one. Okay, that is our pie filling. So now this can get set to the side, and we will start the bottom of our pie crust. So what we're going to do is work this piece and up to this side right here, okay? Got a little cherry in my lemon. Alright, so now we can grab our brown yarn, and we are going to find our end. And we are actually going to go down to our 5mm hook. There we go. Get a slip knot on our hook. And chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come down and slip stitch to our first chain to form a ring. Chain 1, and then pull that tail so it tightens up that chain we slip stitched into, and then working over our tail into our ring, we're going to work 12 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, now we are going to slip stitch to that very first double crochet right there. So go ahead and slip stitch into there. And pull that tail tight. I'll weave that in a minute. Alright, so we're to move it on to round 2. We're going to chain 1 and right back into that same double crochet that we just slip stitched into. We're going to work a double crochet increase. So that's 2 doubles into 1. So go in there with 2 doubles. 1 and 2. Alright, now you're going to do that into every double crochet around. So increase into the remaining 11 double, okay? So I'm going to get mine done off camera and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've worked that around. I've got one more double crochet right there to work my 2 doubles into, and you should have 24 double crochet. Now I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the first double, which is right there. I'm going to slip stitch right into there. And that is the end of round 2, and you should have 24. So we're going to move on to round 3, chain 1, and we're going to increase back into that very first double that we slip stitched into. So 2 double into the very first. Right back in there with another, and now into the next we're going to work 1 double, increase into the next, one double into the next, repeat that around, increase 1, increase 1, increase 1, all the way around, and I'll meet you at this when I get back to where I started. Okay, so I worked that around. I worked an increase, and into my last double right here is going to get 1 double crochet. And you should have 36 double crochet now. Alright, slip stitch to our first right there. Alright, to move on to round 3, chain 1. We're going to increase into that first double again. 1 and 2. And now, instead of having increase 1, we're going to have increase 2, increase 2. So increase 1, 2. Now increase into the next. Double into the next 2. 1 and 2. Increase into the next. Repeat this around. Increase 1, 2. Increase 1, 2. Increase 1, 2. Repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. Alright, so I've made it around. I have an increase, then I worked my 1, and then into the last one gets my last double, and then slip stitch to the first. Okay, so that was the end of round 1, 2, 3, 4. Round 5, we are going to chain 1, increase into that very first double, I split that. 1 and 2. Alright, now we're going to double crochet into the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Increase into the next. Double crochet into the next 3. Increase into the next. Right? So repeat that around. Increase 3, increase 3, increase 3, all the way around, and I'll meet you when we get back to the beginning. Alright, so I've repeated that around. I worked my increase. So now I'm going to double into the last 3. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch to that first double. Oh. And chain 1. And that is the end of round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you should have 60. I forgot to say at the end of round 4 you should have had 48. Sorry about that. Alright, so to go on to round 6, we are going to chain 1, and we're going to increase into that very first double. 1 and 2. And now we're going to double into the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Increase into the next. And that is what we're going to repeat around for round 6. Increase 4, increase 4. And when I say 4, I mean 4, a double into the next 4 double. Increase, a double into the next 4. Increase, double into the next 4. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you when we get back to the beginning. Okay, so I've made it around and I've worked an increase, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 doubles left, and that last 4 gets 1 double. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Slip stitch to our first right there, and for the last increase round, oh wait, sorry, that was the end of round 6, and you should have 72, and round 7 we are going to chain 1 and right back into that first double with an increase, and now we're going to double into the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Increase into the next. Double into the next 5, increase into the next. Double into the next 5, increase into the next. Repeat that around, and I will meet you at the end. Alright, so I'm coming to the end. I just worked my increase, and you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets left. Oops. There. And now we're going to work 1 double into the last 5. And you should have 84 double crochet. Alright, into that last one. And now we're going to slip stitch to our first. Alright, chain 1, and for the last round we are going to work 1 back loop double crochet all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to scooch that slip stitch over just a tad so I can see the top of that double crochet that we just slip stitched into, this one right here, and I'm going to work a back loop double crochet so right into the back loop only with a double, and I'm going to work that all the way around. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Take that out. I am going to show you guys how to make a sturdy back loop. So your back loop isn't all floppy and stretched out like that one gets. Yarn over, go through that back loop, and then if you look, there's a bar right underneath that back loop. Right there, and double crochet, and then that back bar keeps the loop from getting all stretched out. So yarn over, go into that back loop, and if you look, I take it back a little bit farther, see the bar right there? It's really hard to hold all this and show you. Alright, so I yarned over, I'm going to go into the back loop, and then right under that back loop, right where the top of the head of my crochet hook is setting, see that loop I'm pushing on? Go right into there too. Just like that. I lost my yarn over. And now work your double. See how that back loop isn't getting all stretched? So I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to lay it this way so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go into the back loop and the loop underneath it, right like that, and work my double. So when you're holding your work just like this, you go into the back loop and then right through that loop underneath it. So here's your back loop, here's the loop underneath it, back loop, the loop underneath it, here and here, here and here. You don't have to do that. I'm just going to do it because I want mine to be a little more sturdy. And then what'll happen is those double crochet are going to set up like that. Alright, so just work a back loop double all the way around, and I will meet you when I get to the beginning. Okay, so I have repeated that around. I've got one more double that I need to back loop into. Slip stitch to the first. Alright, now what we're going to do is attach our pie filling to our pie crust. So to do that, make sure you have your pie filling right side up and set it inside of your pie crust. And on the pie crust, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet through the very first double crochet on our pie crust and through one of the stitches on the top of, or not on the top, but one of the stitches in our pie crust. It doesn't matter which one, just grab one and go right through it. And single. And now chain 3, 2, 3, and now we're going to go into the next double, and now we're going to go into the very next stitch on the pie crust, or I mean the pie filling. Single crochet, chain 3. Go into the next double on your pie crust and into the next stitch on your pie filling. And single, chain 3. Go into the next double on your pie crust and into the very next stitch on your pie filling. Chain 3. Into the pie crust, into the pie filling. Single, chain 3. Into the pie crust, into the very next one on the pie filling. Single, chain 3. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around, okay? I will repeat that, and I'll meet you when I come to the last few stitches, okay? I'll be right back. All right, now I am coming around and I have a few stitches left, and if I hold this together and I go stitch for stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I have one extra on my pie filling, so I'm going to skip that one on my pie. If you just skip whatever you need to. If you have two if you have 2 extra on your pie filling, work a few, skip one, work a few, skip one, work a few. Or, you know, pull back a little bit and skip however many you need to skip on the pie filling only. Don't skip any on your pie crust, okay? Alright, so I am going to go into my next on my crust, skip one on my pie filling, go into the next, chain 3, into the next, single, chain 3, next, one, two, three, next, 1, 2, 3. Alright, my last double, my last one on my pie filling, single. Now if you want a hanger to hang your pie up, we are going to chain 16 and then slip stitch to the first single crochet of the round. If you don't want a hanger, just chain 3 and slip stitch. But I want a hanger, so I'm going to chain 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And now I'm going to come down and slip stitch to this first single crochet of the round. Chain 1, pull up a loop, and cut. Alright, pull that. There's our pie and our little hanger. Now, whenever you work so far around, you may notice it'll be all bunched up, you know, like this when you're working around. That's perfectly fine. Just flatten it out, just like this. And that middle tail, this tail, I didn't weave in. I just put it to the inside. I forgot all about it, actually. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get my tail weaved in, and when I come back, we're going to get this pie finished by making our lattice. Alright, so I will be right back. Okay, so I've gotten all those ends weaved in, so we need to make the lattice pieces now. So I'm going to set this to the side, get my yarn, get a slip knot on my hook, make sure you have a longer tail. Using our 5mm hook, I'm going to chain 25. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Alright, now into the third chain from the hook. So we've got a chain here, a chain here, and a chain here. That third chain, we're going to work a double. And now double into all the remaining chains. So get that done, and I will come back when I'm at my last chain, okay? Okay, so I've got one more chain. So work into there. Chain one, pull up a loop, and cut. Alright, so now you need a total of 4 chain 25s, like we just did. Make 4 of those, and 2 chain 30. So chain 30, double crochet in the third chain from hook, double crochet all the way down in your last, chain 1, pull up a loop, cut. 2 30s and 4 25s, okay? What we are going to do is sew these onto our pie. So the best way to do this is to have your hanger to the top, and if you don't have a hanger, put a stitch marker somewhere and keep that to the top. That's going to be our guide throughout sewing the lattice on. The reason being is because it is so easy to get confused on the lattice on the pie crust, okay? So put your pie down with your hanger to the top, and I got my little sample piece out so I can see what I'm doing. And we're going to take our 30s and we're going to lay it top to bottom, my hangers to the top, straight down, top to bottom, and straight across, just like that. And we're going to sew these on. Now how you sew them on doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt anything, but I am going to start at the one that I want to stay at the top at my lattice. At my hanger, not my lattice. So I'm just going to take one of my ends, get it on my needle, and I'm going to run it through a few of the stitches, come out, and then I'm going to go through the stitches on my piece of lattice, and then I'm going to go back into the stitches on the pie crust. Okay? Just like that. And then I'm going to take my other tail, get that on my needle, and I'm going to go into the stitches on my pie crust and come out the same place as my first tail. And I'm just going to tie it in a knot. And then I'm going to take these 2 tails and put them on my needle. And then I'm going to run it inside my pie and come out the bottom. and cut. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take this other piece, I'm going to set it to the side. Alright, now I'm going to come to the other end. I'm going to do that same thing, but I got to pull me a little bit of yarn out. Cut a piece from your skein. And I'm going to go in somewhere. Well, we're going straight down. I'm going to go through a few stitches, come through the piece of my lattice, and then go back through some of the stitches on the pie crust. Too much. That back a little. Now what I'm going to do is skip a strand or two, come back through, go back through my pie or my lattice, come back down into the pie crust, and I want to come out the exact same place this tail is. Now I'm going to tie it into a knot. Take my two tails, leave them on my needle. I'm going to go through, come out the bottom of my pie, and give it a little bit of a tug and snip, and it pops back inside. So there is the first piece. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing I just showed you with my second piece. Hanger to the top, or stitch marker, lay that right on top, and I'm going to sew it exactly like we just did this one, okay? But I'm going to do it off camera because I'm going to try to keep this video to be, I don't want 45 minutes of me sewing. Alright, so I'm going to do the exact same thing we just did with this piece. I'm going to do it with this piece, alright? So I will be right back. Okay, so now I've got these two pieces sewn on, so I'm going to take one of my 25 chain piece, and with our hanger to the top, or the stitch marker, we are going to set this under our chain 30. So we want it to look just like that. Okay, and I'm going to sew this on the exact same way, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I got this piece sewn down, so we're going to take another one of our chain 25s, and we're going to come to the bottom and come under this, under our main piece. So we have under, over, under, and sew this one on the same way you did the others. So I'll get that done and be right back. Okay, now I've gotten those in sewn down, so what we're going to do is grab our next piece, and we are going to come under, make sure your hanger's to the top, come under, over, under, and that's how we are going to sew this piece on. Just like that. With your hanger to the top, to this, come to the side, go under, over, under, and then sew it here and here. Alright, so I'm going to get mine sewn and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've got that piece sewn down, and our last piece of lattice with our hanger to the top, we're going to do the same thing. Under, over, under. Just like that. Alright, sew it down and I'll be right back. Okay, so there is our pie all sewn together. Isn't it cute? Okay, so what I'm going to do now, it's totally optional. You do not have to do this. I'm going to take some of my fabric tack and I am just going to put a little dot at all my crosshairs. Here, 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 here. Basically just to hold it together. And so my strips don't end up like that. So I'm going to just get this to the end. Oh, there we go. So I'm just going to run a dot here, 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 here. And that should be good. Clean up my, there. Okay, so now I'm just going to let that dry, and it is ready. And that fabric tack won't hurt on the acrylic either. That's what I used for gluing them down, and it didn't hurt them at all. Okay, I had to go get my other pies. Well, guys, that is the end. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. I'm still, my heart is on the acrylic. I like the acrylic better than the cotton. And you can see, I see how it's just, I mean, the definition of the stitches, the pan was hot. You said on there, it like irons the stitches out of it. But I still think it looks awesome. I love it. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said in the intro, when I started this tutorial, I was so sick and I felt like I wasn't doing a very good job. So if there is anything, any question, anything you guys need help with, do not hesitate to email me. It's in the description box, my email address. Along with my email address, there's links to the pattern. There's links to all the social media platforms I'm on, and that's it. All right. Thank you guys all so very much for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.